Guys, Timer here. We're back with another chapter of Expect the Unexpected by Arctic Vulpix and Corona Max. We're currently on chapter 86, and if you want to follow along, which I highly recommend you do, chapter link will be in the description below as always. Now let's get started. Chapter 86 Thoughts. It had been a hectic time. Ruby lay on her bed, staring at the ceiling with an unusually thoughtful expression on her face. She hadn't had time to process recent events. Not really. Things just kept happening and happening, piling one on top of the other. She was exhausted. However, she really needed to deal with everything pinging around in her brain. Taking a deep breath, she decided to focus on things one at a time. The first issue that jumped to mind wasn't surprising. Michael almost killed Hebe. She gritted her teeth and took a deep breath. That was a traumatizing scene that wasn't going to leave her mind or nightmares for a long while. She may have not liked Heidi in the beginning, purely down to her territorial possessiveness of the bots mentally, but the older girl had grown on her, and it had been terrifying to see her lying there in a pool of her own blood. She still remembered the sheer panic that had hit her in that moment. She screwed up. Her deal didn't protect everyone. Another deep breath. But Heidi was alive and recovering, back to keeping the toys and her in line. That was both amazing and terrifying. What if something like that happened again? She almost died. The building treats her like she's dead already. And on to point number 2, that she needed to try and comprehend. The building treated Heidi like a ghost, like she was dead. It was better than her actually being dead, but still a little too close for comfort. The basics? She had been scared. Scared of the blood, of losing someone else, of it being her fault. But he was alive, for the most part. She had some new scars, and Ruby had some new nightmares. But she was alive, and Ruby was never making a deal that didn't include the ghosts ever again. Those two issues more or less put into mental boxes. She moved on. Next issue. Her loss of control. She wins. She hadn't lost it like that in a very, very long time. She'd been cruel, vindictive, and sarcastic, sadistic as she took down Michael. It hadn't been necessary, but she hadn't been able to stop herself. It felt good. That made her sick. She couldn't let that happen again. She could have irreparably damaged Spring. Despite Edie trying to ease her guilt, she knew it was bad. It would have been easier if everyone just blamed her for that, instead of looking so damn understanding. Not even Goldie was angry. She didn't deserve any of them. Ruby nipped that self-deprecating thought in the bud immediately. She really didn't want to fall into a depressive mental spiral. Again. It wouldn't help anyone. So she just had to make sure she never lost it like that again, especially around the bots. She'd also make sure Heidi got the parts she needed, and maybe head back to the therapist. Decently satisfied with getting a handle on that issue, and promising to think more in depth on it later, she switched to the next bit. Sally was back. It wasn't too surprising, in all honesty, but it was worrisome. She'd have to keep an eye on that. But it really was nothing compared to everything else that had happened, so she didn't dwell on it long. More emotionally draining was the bombshell that Jeremy knew her parents, more specifically her dad. She swallowed, blinking rapidly. That was just fate being a downright bitch. But on top of that, his wife seemed to think she should step into a material role or something. A faint sneer crossed her face. She hated it when adults tried to decide that they were absolutely vital in the poor traumatized Othan's life. Okay, maybe she was overreacting a little, but considering everything that had happened, she believed that it was understandable. Plus, you had to earn the position of responsible adult that could tell her what to do. Gosh, when had he got that position? She couldn't remember when, but at some point she'd actually started listening to the older girl. Her teachers would be so jealous. At least the last shift was actually fun again. And it felt so good to just enjoy herself for a while. And it had felt especially good to let out a little harmless frustration on Amelia, as petty as that was. Apparently, the building needed to let out some frustration too, considering Jeremy's condition. That had been hilarious. Her lips quirked in a smile. She loved that building. She should do something nice for it. Like force the manager to do a repaint episode or something? Something to think of. The smile faded after a moment and she sighed. Right. So after this little moment of thought, she was feeling a bit better, less overwhelmed. She was definitely going to have nightmares for a while, so she needed to up the coffee somehow without causing the. She also needed to swallow her stubbornness for a bit and just go to her therapist before she broke down or seriously hurt someone who couldn't just be put back together again. She needed to keep an eye out for her little Sally problem and not involve the pizzeria in any way. And she needed to get Melia to back off while not offending Heidi and her overprotective brother. Speaking of overprotective brother, a smirk lit up on her face, a familiar sight that never ended well. She was so looking forward to the shooting range. And that's the end of 86. That was a very short chapter. Didn't realize that. But yeah, so we got a nice little short chapter with a bit of lore. Is that right, lore? We got something interesting is happening. Like, who is this Sally? I know, but you guys are gonna have to find out. I mean, you could keep reading. I can't stop you. So yeah, but that's it for chapter 86. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like on the video. Don't comment. I don't want any comments. Instead, I want you to leave a review. Show the author some love. You don't need an account. It just means the author can't respond to you. So go show the author love. Like I said in the beginning, chapter link is in the description below. But before you do go, be sure to subscribe. I upload new videos Friday and Saturday. Uh, Hopefully almost every Friday and Saturday because we're having trouble with the Fallout stuff. Uh, but yeah, there should be another video tomorrow with the next chapter of Meeting at the Mines. Bye!